Hello, friend. The reason for this communication is to tell you that you don't remember things as they were. Your recollection is different than what is real. Something in our reality is not right. This video addresses some of these concerns and has come to a conclusion. That conclusion is called convergence. What I'm about to tell you is a secret. There are those in high places who do not want you thinking about this information. The rules have changed and things are different. Are you awake? Or are you lost in a dreamy slumber, unaware of your current condition? Some embrace the change, and they call it a blessing, claiming miraculous attributes, while others consider them bad omens, harbingers of evil and wicked malice, bent on destroying the fabric of our existence, whisperings of the gateways to hell being opened by colliding particles at near light speed, meant to unleash the secrets of the beginning of the universe, bringing out of hell, which was cursed to dwell there by a divine creator. In this episode, we discuss the larger picture. We examine new possibilities and ask new questions in regards to the Mandela Effect. Who is actively medicating the populace through fluoridating in the water, chemical spraying from planes, and genetically altering our food? Who are they targeting? What are they preparing us for to such a degree that they must tranquilize the entire species with chemicals that make us docile, that radically shorten our lives and our existence? Are they preparing us for convergence? Merriam-Webster defines convergence as the act of converging and especially moving toward union or uniformity. Some folks are reporting that they are remembering multiple events as one event. In other words, they're remembering things like, Luke, I am your father, and no, I am your father, as the same event. As this phenomenon progresses, the logical outcome of something like this might trigger mass psychosis, hence the need to medicate and sedate the population as a whole. Remembering a multitude of outcomes for a single event could be a paradox that breaks the mental psyche of the average human. Enter fluoridation. Fluoride is a byproduct of the aluminum manufacturing process. During World War II, fluoride was used by the Nazis in concentration camps to keep the inmates passive. The poison served as a means to decrease resistance to authority. Currently, about 372 million people, around 5.7% of the world's population, receive artificially fluoridated water in about 24 countries, including Australia, Canada, Ireland, the US, and the UK. Aside from toothpaste, which if enough is ingested by a toddler, it can kill that toddler, fluoride can be found everywhere. Even if you don't live in a community that adds fluoride to its water supply, you can still be exposed to fluoridated water, because once fluoride is added to water, it can be found in places like most processed beverages and food. In the US, studies have shown that sodas, juices, sports drinks, beers, and many other processed foods, including infant foods, have elevated fluoride levels. Fluoride is used in some pesticides to kill insects and other pests. As a result of fluoride pesticide use, some food products, particularly grape products, dried fruit, dried beans, cocoa powder, and walnuts have high levels of fluoride. Tea plants absorb fluoride from the soil. As a result, tea leaves, particularly old tea leaves, contain high levels of fluoride. Brewed black tea averages about 3 to 4 parts per million fluoride, while commercial iced tea drinks contain between 1 and 4 parts per million. As a result of these elevated levels, numerous studies have linked excessive tea consumption to a bone disease, skeletal fluorosis, caused by too much fluoride intake. Fluorinated pharmaceuticals, many pharmaceuticals are fluorinated, meaning they contain a carbon-fluoride bond. Mechanically processed chicken meats have the highest level, with chicken sticks containing an average of 3.6 parts per million. Boiling water in Teflon pans increases the amount of fluoride in the water. In workplace exposure, fluoride is a common air contaminant in industrial workplaces. As a result, workers in many heavy industries, including the aluminum, fertilizer, iron, oil refining, semiconductor, and steel industries can be routinely exposed to high levels of fluoride exposure. The blue-collar working class seems to be targeted in the focused, concentrated delivery of fluoride. Enter chemtrails. If one thing happens to be a recurring theme, it is the presence of aluminum. Below our feet and floating down from aircraft in the clouds, chemtrails, those long-lasting streams of white clouds left by various planes in the sky, are allegedly comprised of primarily aluminum, barium, and strontium. How do we know this to be true? Lab tests. Lab tests conducted by Basic Laboratories of Redding, California. They did a test on Mount Shasta in California, and it showed in a detailed report that 3/4 of a mile above the upper ski bowl parking lot that the snow surface contained 61,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum, which is 61 times over the government limit. Basic Laboratories also allegedly found barium at 83 micrograms and strontium at 383 micrograms per liter. These chemicals are not just being released by military planes, but by civilian passenger jets and other commercial transport. Who pays for this? And who dictates when and where a chemtrail will be administered? Who is the selected target of this process and why? I would be remiss in this video if I didn't include the claim that this report had been debunked, but probably not for the reasons of conspiratorial chemtrails, but because a report like this would be bad for business for Shasta. But if you look on the report, there is clear contact information, and why make such a claim for the purpose of deceit? To who, for whom, and for what? Dateline, Warren, Michigan. A local spots black chemtrail and photographs it over the blue-collar working class community of Warren, Michigan. With a 300mm high-definition DSLR camera, he captured a black chemtrail that ceased producing its trail over an upper-middle-class community on the coastline across from the Canadian border. What makes this a curious chemtrail is the amount of time it lingered in the sky, and the color of the chemtrail, and where it was delivered. The blue-collar working class once again seemed to be targeted on the list for concentrated and consistent exposure to being sprayed with chemicals. When I searched online for a correlation of why we were being so heavily sprayed with aluminum, the first thing that came up in my Google search when looking into aluminum was the immediate denial of a link with Alzheimer's. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see such a strong denial on something that I wasn't even searching, well, I become curious. So after Google searching the link between Alzheimer's and aluminum, I decided to start Google searching the connection between aluminum and fluoride. That is when the truth started to reveal itself, and not from Snopes, who are doing nothing but being liars, who are doing very little in-depth research on any subject, but from the U.S. government, which clearly links aluminum to not only Alzheimer's, but other neural diseases such as autism, ALS, and neurodegeneration. There has also been an uptick in these diseases. When I was a child, autism was not common. Now, according to the CDC, 1 in 68 children have some form of autism. Let's take a look at the government data itself from a report titled Aluminum in the Central Nervous System, Toxicity in Humans and Animals, Vaccine, Adjuvants, and Autoimmunity by C.A. Shaw. In the document, Shaw claims that in terms of bioavailability, aluminum is now found in drinking water due to its action as a flocculant. It is a common additive in various processed foods, is added to cosmetics of many types, and increasingly shows up in pharmaceutical products. Notably, in regard to the latter, various aluminum salts are used as vaccine adjuvants. As a result of all of this, aluminum in the human environment is increasingly found in our bodies, and that aluminum is extremely reactive with carbon and oxygen, two of the leading elements of life on Earth. For this reason, the widespread use of bioavailable aluminum may have immense and far-reaching implications for the health of humans and animals. He then went on to say that exposure to humans and animals to various aluminum from various sources can have deleterious consequences on the developing and adult nervous system. I invite you to read the whole report yourself. A link will be provided for you in the description for this video. By the way, if you are not offended and outraged at this moment, you should be. You should pick up your phone and call your congressman and demand answers. Dropping them several emails will also help. So why do this? Passivity. How does this tie into the Mandela Effect? Is there a point of convergence where all realities meet in time and in space? As you know, changes to the bodies have been occurring. Changes to the heart, the liver, the kidneys, the shoulders, the skull, and even the brain. We are being conditioned as we are being changed. With the shrinking of our frontal lobe, our capacity for understanding is diminished. Is this the action of our government and military? Or is there another otherworldly connection using the military as accomplices? There seems to be a larger picture at play here. It seems that the working class is being hyper-targeted for passivity. Why is this? Is the working class being conditioned for a specific task or event? The elderly also seem to be targeted with aluminum poisoning, which leads to Alzheimer's. And what about the connections to ALS and autism? Why are certain demographics of the populace being targeted, and who's targeting them, and what is their nefarious purpose in doing so? Many of you already know that CERN has released video images of their collisions to demonstrate to the general public the nature of their work. Immediately, people started seeing faces in the images. I wanted to share some of those images, along with certain highlight filtering to bring out the image and reduce the background noise. Now, these might be demons, but one of the images that I was studying had a familiar look to it. You be the judge. Do you see the face? Who does it look like to you? Now, this image is at such a minute level. It may simply be a dimensional looking glass peering through the next dimension. If they are fracturing dimensions, the person on the other side, or the other dimension, may not even notice or know that they are being watched through CERN's looking glass. Several pictures from the LHC have surfaced that seem to show faces within the construct of the collisions. When the filters are applied to the images, certain features become more clear and pronounced. You, again, be the judge. Some faces take on a stark, alien, or demonic vibe. In previous videos, we were reluctant to attach any religious association with CERN. But in light of the overwhelming evidence to the contrary, we must re-examine our position. Even Google Earth identifies the statue of Shiva, the destroyer, standing in front of CERN as a place of worship. From satanic rituals being performed and videotaped, to bizarre videos of scientists dancing all around in an occult-like manner. And then there are other pictures from CERN that make it a point to mock those who understand that there's been a dimensional quantum shift. So, could they be trying to create a porthole to traverse from one dimension to another, possibly opening up the gates of hell itself? Quite possibly. Here is the conclusion that I promised you in the beginning of this video. You may have to wrap your mind around the idea of having memories of two realities at once. Those who remember things differently, well, they've lost their reality in a moment when one electron had its weight changed, and their universe at that point imploded. This reality is obviously fractured, and the anomalies reflecting that fact are making themselves present. Sounds of trumpets ringing in the air, loud ground-shaking booms, fantastic and brilliant lights illuminating the nighttime skies. So to recap, a nefarious source who has enough pull with world governments has the ability to pacify you and I through medicating the collective sum of humanity. with fluoridating the water supply and raining down aluminum from the heavens to slow and limit the potential of humanity by inflicting the general populace with mind-altering chemicals? A process similarly used by the Nazis. Is this chemical assault meant to pacify the populace? Help the populace forget one reality and create a coping mechanism for living with the understanding that we are existing currently in more than just one reality? Or is it a bit of both? We believe the latter to be true. The big question is who. We know what they are doing. And we have a suspicion or a partial reason why. But the answers will come out when we find out who it is doing this. Now, there are some who say it may be a demon or aliens or other dimensional beings. These are three candidates that we are commonly left with, that we can't necessarily dismiss. It is time, however, to get some answers. By the way, who remembers the country of Belarus, next to Poland? Yeah, neither do I. Welcome to the Mandela Effect. Tell you what, they're in the news a lot lately, and I've never heard of them until about a week ago. Remember, the ideas proposed in this video are just theories. It is almost impossible to truly know completely what is afoot. If you like this content, please take a moment and subscribe. If you want to be alerted when new videos are released, click the alert bell. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That encourages me to keep going. Most importantly, if this video resonates with you, please share it. By sharing it, you help me promote it, and that empowers me and enables me to make more of these videos, which are meant to inform and entertain. Thank you so much for watching my show today. Please be sure to leave your comments and thoughts below in the comment section. Your ideas, energy, and experiences help me understand and gain further information into this unexplained phenomena. End communication.